to our webinar. This month, we're going to be talking about anxiety, stress, anxiety. So this is who we are, Tucson Functional Medicine. I am a certified functional medicine doctor here in Tucson. There's actually only 2 certified doctors here in Tucson. And we deal with all kinds of health problems from a functional medicine point of view. So what is the difference between functional medicine and traditional medicine? Well, predominantly, it's the focus. Traditional medicine is focused on survival, keeping you alive, which is a wonderful thing. And functional medicine is focused on quality of life and health. Because if you are alive, how about we enjoy life? That would be kind of cool, huh? So, with 60% of Americans having a chronic disease, people are wasting more and more time in doctors' waiting rooms. Tucson Functional Medicine offers health programs that get to the cause of your health issue. So you spend less time in waiting rooms and more time enjoying the quality of life that you deserve. So today's topic is anxiety, okay? Now, anxiety is a fascinating thing. My wife can struggle with panic attacks and stuff, and I thought I understood them because I read a book. And this is probably 15 years ago. I had a panic attack. I've never had one before, and I've never had one since, but it was unlike anything I've ever been through in my life. It was I was at a movie theater and the theater closed in on me. People were like all around me. Everybody was talking. I was stunned, and I thought I understood a panic attack until I had one. And then once I had one, my entire view on panic attacks changed because now I had experienced it. It's really, really hard to truly be empathetic and to meet the patient's needs. The better you understand whatever they have, the better you can meet their needs. And I thought I was able to deal with anxiety and panic attacks and things like that. And then I had one. And then I was like, holy smokes, this is a whole nother level that I didn't even really know what it was. So what we're going to do today, I want to welcome everybody. If you have not met me or you don't live in Tucson, my name is Dr. T, Dr. Trent Freeman. And like I said, I'm a certified functional medicine doctor. And what we want to try to do in this webinar is we want to try to give you some tools to help you remove unnecessary stress and anxiety from your life without a prescription medication. Okay. Now, I'm not against prescriptions, but if we can get the same results with a non-pharmacology solution, then we don't have to deal with a lot of things like side effects and stuff like that. So my philosophy is anytime I can deal with something naturally versus pharmautically, I want to do that if I can. Doesn't always happen, but I want to. And that's probably why you're here. So this is our autonomic nervous system. There's 2 parts to it. You're either in the parasympathetic, which is the blue, and that is what we call the resting and digesting system. And then we have the pink, which is called the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight. And what happens with this is the body reacts differently when it is stressed versus when it is resting. And we need both systems. The problem is in America, most Americans are in the fight or flight, the sympathetic, the pink one, all the time. And it's become so normal that people don't even think they're stressed anymore because this has just become normal. So when the body is stressed, anxious, the body shuts down the brain chemicals, the sex hormones, the thyroid, the digestion, and the detoxification. Because if I have a saber-toothed tiger in front of me, my body prioritizes survival over the normal function of the body. And that's what we want. we really have a saber-tooth tiger. But what we've actually done is we've just repackaged the saber-tooth tiger. And now we call it parents, children, husbands, wives, the coronavirus, the government, business, bills. I mean, go on and on and on. And so most Americans are stressed most of every single day. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is just listen to this. We have put lists, like all of our resources, we have a lot of them, and it's listed in the PDFs that you received about an hour before this talk. So what happens with this is we want you to just listen to it, but if you want to dig deeper into one of these topics, we have all of our sources, all of the web pages that you could just go to and dig deeper into any of these topics. So this is Anxiety 101, right? So here we go. Holistic and natural health remedies, okay? So holistic health is becoming increasingly popular as the rise of wealthy, globalized pharmaceutical companies continue to dominate the medical industry. So part of the growth of holistic is people are just frustrated with getting a pharmacological agent for everything. Doesn't matter what the problem is, they got a drug for it. And more people are wondering, can't we fix this naturally? What did we do before all these pharmaceuticals? Because the pharmaceuticals didn't even come into existence until the 1900s. So how did mankind exist for thousands and thousands and thousands of years before that? But is holistic health good for everything? I hear this all the time. Oh, holistic health fixes absolutely. Well, that's not true either. If I get run over by a truck today, holistic health is not my first place that I go to be fixed. It may be my long-term solution, but at first I want to go to the ER. I want to have my broken bones put back together. I want some pain pills, muscle relaxers. I want this kind of stuff. But now once I'm alive, they've kept me alive. I didn't die from getting run over by the truck. Now I want to gravitate more to holistic stuff. But initially, I want the people that are excellent at keeping us alive to keep me alive. So holistic health, just like traditional medical health, there is lots of cases that holistic health works better than traditional medical. And there is cases where traditional works better than holistic health. So up until functional medicine, basically what we had in America was we had the natural doctors and the traditional doctors, I guess we'll call them. And basically the traditional doctors looked at the natural doctors and said, you guys aren't even real doctors. And the natural doctors looked at the medical doctors and said, well, you guys are just butchers for surgery and drug dealers for pharmaceuticals. And so who was the big loser? The patient, right? The patient is always the loser. If you got the two sides of the healthcare field arguing with each other, that this one isn't valid and this one isn't valid, it's just like this little, fight that's going on. And the people who lose are the patients. So just listen to these. There is a list in your PDFs that lists all the things that have been shown to increase stress and anxiety. Now, this isn't a completely comprehensive list, but these are the major ones. But again, we have the resource in here if you want more than what we've given you. Caffeine. If you suffer from anxiety and stress, caffeine should not be in your diet. Refined sugar and even some fruits. There is a blog that I did on my website, Tucson Functional Medicine, I think 3 months ago, and we actually show how sometimes drinking fruit juices is worse than drinking a soda because of the sugar content. You can actually have more sugar content in fruit juices sometimes than you can in a Coke or a Pepsi or something like that. Hydrogenated oils, fast food, high sodium foods, trans fat, processed foods, soy, alcohol. Now, this is one that you'll hear a lot of people, what they do is they say, oh, I need that drink when I get home to relax. And in all actuality, it does exactly the opposite. It actually, because alcohol technically is a poison to the human body, and the body shifts into overdrive to deal with the alcohol. And how do we make alcohol? It's all sugar, right? That's how we ferment anything, is with sugar. So alcohol is not a good idea. Soy is what we call one of the top 5 allergens in the world. There are, out of all the products in the world, soy is in the top 5 are things that people have a problem with. How about what should we eat for anxiety? And again, this is listed in your PDF handout, so you don't need to do this. But what are we talking about? We're talking about omega-3 fatty acids. We have a lot, but omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9s are the big ones. But omega-3 is non-inflammatory. Okay, it's vital for our brains to function properly and regulate hormone release. Omega-3 fatty acids. So what are some things that have omega-3? Wild salmon, walnuts, flaxseed, chia seeds are just some examples. Now, there's more than that. There's other cold water fish. So I believe another fish that's really, really high in omega-3s is sardines. So it's not just spinach. Here's some other things. Blueberries, almonds, spinach, broccoli, spirulina, raspberries, dark chocolate, quinoa, red lentils. Now there's more than this. So if you want to dig deeper than that, go to the resources section and dig deeper into that, because there are more than that. Those are just the biggies. B vitamins are huge to helping with anxiety. So what I gave you in your PDF handouts is a handout on what are the symptoms of not having enough B vitamins. Now, if you take a multiple that has good B vitamins in it, this one probably isn't an issue for you. But what are the B vitamins are some of the happy hormone inducing foods. So B vitamins induce that happy feeling pretty much more than any other foods. Eating foods rich in these vitamins will assist in the relief of anxiety. Green vegetables such as asparagus, spinach, avocados are some of the foods you can include in your diet to start combating the effects of those high levels of cortisol. And it's not our purpose today to talk about cortisol, but cortisol is what our body releases when we're under stress. And cortisol is one of the key aspects of anxiety. So here's some symptoms, some signs and symptoms of not having enough B vitamins. Headaches, nervousness, irritability, anxiety, cramps, tingling in your hands or your feet, being nauseous. Now, these are in your PDF handouts, but sometimes people can just increase their B vitamins and it helps with their anxiety enormously. So, traditional Chinese medicine. Now, this is technically probably the oldest medicine in the world, probably. But you can go back 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 years ago. Now, we didn't always call them this, but you can find Oriental medicine, chiropractic, and naturopathy. Now, we may have not called them that, but we have references in history up to 7,000, 8,000 years ago of these being used. So we got a lot of experience with this. Well, Chinese medicine, as more and more medical schools and practices begin to integrate the emphasis on the mind-body connection and holistic medicine, they're starting to add traditional Chinese medicine into their program. So an integrated practice, I call it a doc in the box. So what we've done is we have one building, the box, and inside this box, we have many different specialties. We have integrated a lot of different types of doctors into that building. So you have a medical doctor, and if you want a chiropractor, they send you down the hallway because there's a chiropractor in this integrated practice. That's what integrated medicine is, okay? And we live right here in Tucson, where Andrew Weil created this whole integrative idea and model over the last 20, 30 years. Functional medicine is an actual change in the philosophy, I guess, of the doctor themselves. So in an integrative clinic, the medical doctor doesn't change their philosophy. They just have other options in their clinic that they can send you to. But the medical doctor still thinks like a medical doctor. The acupuncturist still thinks like an acupuncturist. So nobody really changes their philosophy. Functional medicine is truly a paradigm shift. We have medical doctors doing functional medicine, osteopathic doctors, nurse practitioners, chiropractors, not massage therapists, what else? Naturopaths. So we have all these different types of doctors, and it actually is a philosophical change in the philosophy of dealing with it. So this is why functional medicine is way more, it's very holistic, even more holistic than integrative clinics. Not against integrative clinics, but the people don't change their philosophy. What they do is they just go, they have a lot of different specialties, and that's why it's integrated, okay? The origin of many holistic remedies and treatments we now have in the Western world came directly from examples set by the ancient Chinese herbalists who relied on nature and their understandings of the human body and the mind to both prevent and cure disease. I think it's Taiwan or maybe Malaysia, but one of the Asian countries, I can't remember exactly which one it is, the doctor doesn't get paid unless the treatment that they give to the patient works. Can you imagine implementing that in this country? Doctors wouldn't be paid unless whatever they do to help you actually works. And if it works, they should get paid. If it doesn't work, why should you pay them? So the focus on traditional Chinese medicine has always been in preventing disease from happening. And this is not new. This is centuries and centuries and centuries. This has been going on. And it's very different than what we call modern medicine. And modern medicine really formed in the real early 1900s. You know, people like to think that this is really, really old, but it really, really isn't. Traditional medicine, American Western medicine, was formed in the early 1900s when people were dying almost exclusively from infection. So our system grew up treating infections and emergency room type medicine. And that's where it excels so well. Our traditional model is very, very good at dealing with keeping you alive and the emergency room type stuff. But where they're not that great at is in quality of life and health, because they're treating chronic diseases in exactly the same way that they treat emergency room. Now, this type of treatment works with emergency room type stuff, but it doesn't work when it comes to chronic disease. So the Indians, my father was a full-blooded Kiowa Indian, and the Indians have a statement that says, "I thank God for all the diseases that I never got." And isn't that really what we should be able to say at the end of our life? I didn't get any of these diseases. That should be the norm, not the exception. So I was looking this up a couple of years ago, and don't take the number as the gospel because maybe it's different now. Well, I went to the World Health Organization, and when they were ranking places as far as their healthcare system and the health of the people in the healthcare system, the United States of America was ranked 51. 51. We spend the most on our healthcare system in the world by far, and that might be acceptable if we had the top health in the world, but we're ranked 51st. Now, I didn't look it up before I did this, so we might not be 51st right now. But traditional medicine, chiropractic, acupuncture, herbalist, all this kind of stuff's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Let's talk about teas and herbal remedies. Tea leaves have been broadly acknowledged around the world as one of the most effective natural remedies for fighting signs of stress and anxiety. The beautiful thing about teas and herbal remedies is the kind of treatment against the symptoms of anxiety. So the point about this is herbal teas deal with the symptoms of the anxiety, not the cause, but the symptoms. But the good part about this is it's very quick. So a lot of people, if they just sit down, have a cup of tea that has some of the nervines in it that we'll talk about here in a minute, it's very quick at reducing anxiety in the patients. Now, we still need to get to what the ultimate cause of the anxiety is if we want it to go away and not come back. but this is something that will really help. So what are we talking about? Chamomile tea, lavender tea, things like that. They're called nervines. And so, and there's more than just those. There's hops, valerian, passion flower. There's a lot of these, and you can make teas out of all of them. But these are the teas that really, really help, and they're pretty quick. So you don't have to take it and wait for 3 months for your anxiety to feel better. You take this and it has almost an immediate response to that. Let's talk about essential oils and nervines. What are called nervines. I guess we're going to deal with essential oils in a couple of slides specifically, but peppermint is another readily available herb which lends itself to the soothing the effects of stress and anxiety. In the form of herbs or oil extracts, it can be used in many different ways, and consuming peppermint tea when stressed or before bed is a great way to immediately calm the nervous system. Peppermint, chamomile, lavender, anything, no caffeine ever, right? And peppermint, we have to be a little careful with peppermint. So you need to kind of figure out how peppermint affects you, because for some people, peppermint is an energizer. So if peppermint was to energize you, this is not something you want to do before you go to sleep at night, or you won't ever get to sleep. So you need to figure out how each one of these herbs actually your body processes it. But peppermint for most people really calms anxiety down. It's a really big one. So how about the environment? Holistic healthcare methods suggest that to lower the effects of anxiety, the environment we surround ourselves with in our house or wherever must promote a healthy, positive attitude towards ourselves. So how can you do this? Air purifiers, water filters, things like this eliminate some of these toxins out of our home environment, which can build up and cause anxiety and stress and things like this. But how about Baroque classical music? That is very relaxing and very stimulating to the unconscious brainwaves. So that can really happen. It's classical, but it's the Baroque period. I believe that's spelled B-A-R-O-Q-U-E, I believe. And it's just a period of time in the classical world where the type of music they did was called Baroque. Okay. People in Western countries spend an increasing amount of time indoors. And boy, hadn't that been the truth last year with coronavirus, right? But we also spend more time inside in cold months, right? Getting outside is very, very, very important for our overall health. We need the sun, we need to be in nature, we need to hike in the hills or whatever it is you want, ride your bike or run or whatever it may be, outside. And with this environment, the COVID thing for the last year, over a year now, people are spending a lot more time at home than they were before. And so the environment at home becomes more important and more important and more important. Essential oils. Now, in our clinic here, we use a diffuser. And the diffuser, you fill it up with water, you put a little bit of essential oil, or any type of oil, but I use essential oils here. And then it just kind of puts out this vapor all day long that permeates the air with essential oils. And so we use that a lot in here. We have a couple of diffusers at different places in our clinic, and we're almost always, like today I used lavender, and that's one of these nervines. That's one of these things that cause a calming effect. And that's really what we want. And that's definitely what we want in our clinic. So we use a lot of aromatherapy. Well, you can get these at home. You can go to Amazon and type in diffuser, go to Bed Bath & Beyond, and they got 25 diffusers. You type it in Amazon, you'll get 500 of them. And basically, you can set these up in your house, in your office, in your car even, you can set these up. And what this will do is it takes that essential oil and diffuses it into the air. So you're breathing it in, and it will help calm things down. One that can assist in creating a more positive, calm-inducing, and anxiety-soothing environment is by diffusing essential oils. All natural essential oils, such as lavender, peppermint, chamomile, and many more, are known to have positive effects to those under stress and suffering from anxiety. So it's a good idea to have them on hand all the time. Now, if you suffer from anxiety just every once in a while, like I always tell people, I don't want to be looking for car insurance the day after I get in an accident. Well, you don't want to be looking for some way to control your anxiety when you're in the middle of anxiety. You need to prepare for being in anxiety and then hope you never have to use all the stuff that you prepared. But essential oils are huge. We use them in our clinic. I use them at my house. Essential oils are extremely versatile and can be used in numerous ways, from diffusion, that's what we talked about, to incorporating into your skin and hair care routines. Some oils even adding benefits to food. You want to be careful with this, but they have cookbooks on using essential oils in your daily activities. So they give you recipes and stuff like this, or this kind of essential oil works well with this type of a recipe, and you can actually put them in your food. So there's a lot of different ways. You can put them, my wife puts lavender in her shampoo. So when she's washing her hair, there's a very calming environment in the bathroom, the shower area when she's showering. There are countless recipes online to enable you to get creative with your oils, and the effects and uses are just as broad depending upon the need of the person using it. So the internet is a wonderful thing. And if you go there and you type about which essential oils can I use in my skincare products or in my shampoos or in my cooking, people have written entire cookbooks that show you what you can do with stuff like this and things like this. So there's no shortage of information. Essential oils can be just one more of in our arsenal, so to speak, to deal with anxiety. How about activity? Back in the 70s, if you're old enough to remember that, I am, everything was running, and they talked about the runner's high. Well, the runner's high was based upon aerobic exercise for a certain period of time, and your body kicks out endorphins. Well, exercise does the same thing today. So, and you should be exercising anyway, but if you exercise, your body will kick out endorphins, which also help reduce stress. Exercise and keeping active is an extremely effective way of preventing the onset of many illnesses, not just anxiety and depression. But we're here to talk about anxiety. So this really, really helps with anxiety. Exercise is thought to be one of the most invigorating or effective ways to combat periods of anxiety, stress, and depression, as the endorphins produced after even a short 10-minute walk have similar effects to taking aspirin for a headache. Exercise has been proven scientifically to elevate mood, and more physically active people also show lower incidence of anxiety and depression. So if you find anxiety, along with all these other things we're giving you, go out for a run or ride a bike or take a walk or whatever and get outside. It's amazing how your perspective will change if you remove yourself from the environment that may be adding to or causing the anxiety to start with. Try to do it outside if you can too, because then you get the benefit of vitamin D and the sun and breathing fresh air and all those kind of things. So in 1999, a book was written called The Second Brain. And when that book came out, medicine changed. Because up until the research that Dr. Gershon did, we didn't really know that there was much of a connection between the digestive tract and the brain. Now we're hearing more and more and more about this. But what Dr. Gershon found is there's as many neurons in your stomach and your small intestines as there is in your brain and your spinal cord. And that all the chemicals that run your brain are also found in the digestive system. So this is one of the fastest growing forms of medicine right now, is dealing, and it's changing the entire way that we're dealing with things like anxiety, depression, brain functions. How about autism, dementia, Alzheimer's? How about food addiction, food allergies? How about autoimmune diseases? See, now what we're doing is we've opened up this whole new avenue that we can look at it through the digestive health, and that is having huge effects on people's brain function, anxiety, and depression. So we actually run a test in our office called the GI MAP test, MAP, and this tells us three things. Part of the test is about the microbiome. This is bacteria that you should have in your digestive system. But what we don't want is an overgrowth or undergrowth. We want it to be balanced, and we want it to be working correctly. The second thing that this test does, and that test tells us about the microbiome. The second thing that the test tells us is about the organs involved in digestion. So the pancreas, the gallbladder, the stomach, things like that. The third thing that this test tells us is about all the bacteria that should not be in your digestive tract. Sometimes anxiety comes, candida or yeast overgrowth is one of the hugest things that can cause anxiety. Because what feeds yeast or any fungus? Simple sugar. So what do you crave? You crave simple sugars. Then you put weight on. And then I get more depressed because now I'm gaining weight, but yet I can't stop eating the sweets. Well, why can't I stop eating the sweets? Because I have a fungus. And the fungus is fed by simple sugars. So medicine is really changing a lot in the way we're approaching things. And this book right here, if you're interested in this, it's called The Second Brain. I believe it was published in 1999. And that is the Bible for the connection between the digestive tract and the brain. So we have a whole nother realm of treatments that we can now do to affect the brain that we didn't even really know could affect the brain 30 years ago. That's how new this is. So the medical doctors never accepted what the natural doctors talked about forever and ever called leaky gut. The medical doctors didn't consider it real. And in the year 2000, Dr. Alessio Fasano, if that isn't Italian, I don't know what is, but he's a pediatric doctor back east, and he discovered zonulin. Now, zonulin is the marker for leaky gut. Now, if you have leaky gut, things that are way too big to be used by your mitochondria or your body are passing through the gut lining because we have leaky gut. And what does that create? Well, the body can't actually use these things, so that creates inflammation. That creates stress. That creates anxiety. So sometimes leaky gut in our digestive tract can be one of the key things in dealing with the underlying cause of anxiety. Sometimes it's not just my brain. Sometimes it goes definitely beyond that. So flow state and creativity. This is the unconscious brain. Athletes will say, oh, they were in the zone or something like that. And we've all been in this flow state. How do you know you're in it? Time ceases to exist. So I sit down to do something I really love. I get busy doing it and look up at the clock and an hour's gone by and I think, holy smokes, I've been here that long. Time ceases to exist when we're in the flow state, and that is the unconscious brain. We're going to show you the brain waves here in a minute, but flow state is a relatively new term that has been coined to define a state of intense creative and productive focus, whereby the person slips into an undistracted state of intense concentration whilst completing a task. That's that unconscious. It doesn't have to be unconscious, but usually it's unconscious. And we'll show you the brainwaves here in a minute, like I said. It is definitely not a new phenomenon, as humans have been creating and focusing in such ways as flow states since time began. However, recent developments in technology that have damaged our attention span, TV, the internet, all that kind of stuff, and the ability to focus have recently drawn awareness back at the importance and significance of achieving a state of flow. So another thing that can screw up sleeping, resting, things like that is electronics. All electronics, whether it be your computer, your cell phone, a tablet, whatever it may be, emits blue light. And when it emits blue light stops the conversion of serotonin into melatonin. So now what they're saying is you should stop all electronics a minimum of 2 hours before you go to sleep. This is something else that we have seen that truly helps anxiety. If people disengage from the things that they're normally doing, what do most Americans do? They watch TV till they stumble down the hallway and go to sleep. TV is anything but relaxing. People say, oh, no, I watch the Discovery Channel. And they watch a lion ripping the guts out of a gazelle. It's not relaxing. So flow state. I think I put some articles in your PDFs about yoga and meditation. Cleveland Clinic, Mayo, I believe it was Harvard. They all did studies showing how yoga, meditation, things like this are decreasing stress and anxiety levels enormous. But most Americans, this is not high on Americans' priority list to slow down. We're going faster, 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 faster all the time. So we do have handouts on different types of things. So how about meditation? How about yoga? How about Tai Chi? How about Qigong? How about the casino? I'm gonna show you that in a minute. That's what I use. There's another one called the Heart Math, M-A-T-H. And it's kind of a modern version of biofeedback. But all of these things can reduce stress. Okay, so let's talk about brain waves real quick. So in conscious brain waves, you have 3 of them. You have beta right here. You have alpha right here. And you have gamma down here. Now, these are conscious brain waves. So beta is what you're in most of the day. You wake up, you start talking to people, your brain goes into beta waves. So it's awake, normal, alert consciousness. Americans, probably humans everywhere, but Americans are in beta probably 90% of their waking hours, if not more than that. Alpha is what people will say where they're physically or mentally relaxed, they're awake, but they're drowsy or really relaxed. So people will say, oh, when I go out and hike in the mountains, that's very relaxing and calming to me. That's an alpha brainwave. Not bad in any way, shape, or form. But adding conscious brainwaves to unconscious brainwaves to control stress is like the perfect storm. So I'm not against alpha, and you should have some of these things in your life that you do where you are physically and mentally relaxed. You know, if I go out with my dog, I take my dog for a walk, it's very calming and relaxing to me. These are things that you do where you're in the alpha brain state. Gamma is when we're excited about things. So gamma brain waves are the brain waves you want to be in if you're depressed or discouraged or something like that, because you can't be depressed or discouraged if your brain has a heightened perception, because that's excitement. You can't be excited and depressed at the same time. But the unconscious brainwave, this is where the rubber really hits the road in controlling stress. So delta, we've all heard that, and that's what you're in when you're asleep. Rapid eye movement, you know, things like that, okay? Deep, dreamless sleep. Loss of body awareness. Now remember, this is the unconscious brain. So theta is what we really want to be in, and this is reduced consciousness, deep meditation, right? Light sleep, not deep sleep. This is deep sleep up here. So you can be in theta brain waves controlling your anxiety. And that's one of the things we teach is one of the lifestyle things in our functional medicine program is theta brain waves are truly the key. This is what I use. So the casino, which this is what I use. But what it is I go in there and I select a theta track. So I just push a button and the track forces my brain waves from 4 to 8 hertz. Now, I tried to do regular meditation for a few years, and it was very frustrating to me, and it just went. So what you use is less important that you're consistent with using it. But I use a casino. We have one here in the office, and if my functional medicine patient lives here in Tucson, we have them try this in the office because about 50% of the people love it, 50% hate it. So I want people to experiment with it before they buy one. We don't sell them, but the company that sells them is called mindplace.com. And that is, and this is what I personally use, but it has glasses that do all these lights and everything at the same time that you're listening to something. And that's what most people don't like about this is the lights flashing. Some people love it. I happen to love it. I think it works very, very well, but a lot of people don't like that. So how often should you be in unconscious brain waves dealing with stress? 2 times a day, 20 minutes each setting. And we learned this from the Buddhist and the Tibetan and the Catholic monks. And so what you want to do, if you're going to try to incorporate this, is you want to start out 1 time a day, 7 days a week at like 5 minutes. And then you want to raise it to maybe 6 minutes and then 7 minutes. And once you get it to where you're consistently doing 20 minutes a day, 7 days a week, now what we need to do is add another time. So I do my first one at about 4 o'clock in the morning is when I do my first 20-minute session. And then I do another one about 6 or 7 o'clock at night. But this will incorporate unconscious brain waves along with, if you're out hiking or whatever, that's conscious brain waves. And now what we're doing is approaching stress and anxiety from 2 avenues, not just 1. That's what we want to be doing so that we do this 7 days a week so that we reduce the chances of stress happening. But we also need something, if you notice that you are actually stressed and anxious, box breathing is what this is called. So what we want to do is we want to breathe in through the nose for a count of 4. And then we want to hold that breath in for a count of 4. And then we want to breathe out through the mouth for a count of 4. And then we want to hold that for 4 seconds. And then we want to breathe in through the nose. And this is how we count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, one of the things that happens when we become anxious and we have stress is our breathing becomes shallower and it becomes shorter. So a smoker will always tell you that I smoke for relaxation. It has nothing to do with the smoking. It has everything to do with the breathing. If you take deep breaths, you will cause a relaxation. Because what you're doing is working exactly against the body's natural responses to being stressed and anxious, which is shorter breathing, up in the top of your chest, things like this. So we need 2 things. We need a system so that we're trying to work on reducing stress and anxiety from happening in the first place. And then we need a contingency plan, which I would call this box breathing, is I'm not going to be successful all the time about not being stressed or anxious. And when I notice, oh my gosh, I am stressed, I can do this box breathing right now to reduce the stress that I'm currently in. But the ultimate goal is to try to reduce being in the state of stress or anxiousness as much as we possibly can. And that's those 2 20-minute sessions. Okay, that is what prevents or helps to reduce stress from coming on as much and as often. And then when we do notice that we are stressed, we want to do the box breathing. So we're almost finished. So what I would like you to do, if you have tried something for stress and anxiety that we did not cover here, please put it in the comments below so other people watching this can learn from what you have found out about you, your stress, anxiety for you, that works for you if we didn't talk about it. And that might help somebody else who reads what you did and they think, well, geez, I might try that. And that might help them. And then you've passed along and you've aided somebody else with their stress and anxiety. And it might be something that we didn't deal with at all here. So please do that in the comment section below. Please put in what you use if it's something that we did not cover in this. There's a lot of other things that we didn't cover. We tried to cover the major, big issues that people get the biggest bang for the buck, but there's other stuff out there and you may have experimented. So put it in the comments so other people can learn from you. So thank you so much for attending this webinar. And we will be uploading this to on our YouTube channel. So Tucson Functional Medicine is our YouTube channel. And we will be uploading this within the next day or so then I can get it all cleaned up. And I hope this helped you. If you have, there is a product. I want to mention this product. It's from a company called Biotics. It's prescription only. But if you've tried a lot of this other stuff and you're just not getting the kind of results that you are looking for, contact me. You can go to my website, TucsonFunctionalMedicine.com, send me a message. If you're a patient, you can put it in the portal, because I can get a product from Biotics called VHP. The V stands for valerian, the H stands for hops, and the P stands for passion flower. And these are nervines, and we've had some pretty good luck from some people by getting those pills. And they also add some of the other stuff that we went through today. But what we want to do is approach stress and anxiety from a multiple pronged approach to give you the most advantage to be able to deal with your anxiety and stress. And if this isn't going to get, it doesn't give you the results that you're hoping for, and I keep working on it, but you can contact me, call our office, you can send me a message, you can, if you're a patient, you can put it in the portal, whatever, and we can get you the VHP from Biotics, because like I say, it's not something you can buy over the counter. And I don't know what they have done with the valerian hops and passion flower. I've had people use valerian hops and passion flower, and they don't get the result that they get with this product called VHP. So I'm not sure what they're doing differently, but it is definitely giving people results versus just using the botanicals themselves. I tell people, you know, night sweats, hot flashes. Again, Biotics has put out a product called Equifem that I don't know what they do, because I've used all the same products that they put in it, and I've never gotten the results that they get in their product called Equifem. So I'm not sure what magic they're doing over there at Biotics, but that lab seems to be getting some results about some very specific things that we're not getting with most of the other companies. So I want to thank you for attending. And like I say, in the comments below, put what you're doing if we didn't cover it, so somebody else might learn from that and be able to deal with their anxiety. Or you might be able to read what other people have done in the comments and might get a link to something that works for you that we didn't cover in here. Okay, so please do that. And I hope to see you at next month's webinar. We do one a month. You can go onto my website, Tucson Functional Medicine, and at the top we have a menu. And one of the options, I believe it's the first option, it says About Us. And one of the options in the drop-down menu is Dr. T's teaching schedule. So we have set up the first 6 months of 2021. And what I did something a little different this year. I'm hoping that we'll get some feedback of topics that patients would like to see covered that hasn't been covered. So if you have a particular topic that you would like us to cover in a webinar, please get that information to me. You can, again, put it in the comments section, send me a message, call the client, whatever, because, and if I don't get any of these, then I'm just going to plan the rest of the 6 months. But we have everything through June planned. And if you would like to see a particular topic covered, put it in the comments, send me a message, call the clinic, whatever, because we would like the people to be involved in picking the last 6 months of our topics. So you can be instrumental in picking what we cover for the last 6 months of this year. So thank you very much for attending this, and I hope this helped you in some way. And I'll